Okay, here's solving using the square root method. So far we've graphed, we've factored to solve, and now we're going to use the square root method, which is probably my favorite method. So if you have u squared equals 64, you're going to take the square root of both sides to get u alone. Square root of 64 is 8, but it can also be negative 8, because if you take 8 and square it, you get 64. If you take negative 8 and square it, you still get positive 64. So you're going to get two answers. They're just going to be the negative and positive of the square root of that number. Number 2 is similar. Take the square root of both sides. For this one, you're going to write no solution, because you cannot take the square root of a negative number. That's an imaginary number, which you'll work more with in later classes. This is page 10. And then we're going to do a little bit on page 11. This is the same kind of thing. So if I have u squared equals 100, take the square root of both sides. U is going to be 10 and negative 10. This one right here, x squared equals 81. Take the square root of both sides. X is going to be 9 and negative 9. Number 5, w squared is negative 64. Take the square root. You cannot get a negative number when you square something, so this again is no solution. And then number 6, u squared equals 25. Take the square root of both sides. U is going to be 5 and negative 5. So it's no solution if you have a negative under the radical. And you have two answers if you take the square root of a number, because whenever you square a negative, you're going to get a positive number. Square a positive, you're going to get a positive number. So you'd have two outcomes. That is the topic called solving an equation of the form x squared equals a using the square root property. We're going to do something similar here. It takes a little bit more steps. So we are going to have an equation. In order to get the y squared alone, I'm going to subtract both sides by 12, just like we would do if you were trying to solve for x. Now we're solving for the squared term. So you get 90, divide both sides by 2, because I want to get y squared alone. And now I have the same problem we had up above. Take the square root of both sides. Y is going to be, I'm typing this into the calculator, square root of 45. And you're going to get 6.71, because I'm going to round to the nearest 100th. So that's two numbers after the decimal. And I'm going to get negative 6.71. On the calculator, it said 6.7082039325. To round, I look at the third number. If that number is bigger than 5, then I round the number next to it up 1. That's why I have 6.71 and negative 6.71. And this is page 11. I'm going to do a little bit on page 12. This is the same process here. So I'm going to solve to get w squared alone. I subtract 18. I get 84 equals 3w squared. Divide by 3. Get w squared equals 28. I'm going to double check that. 84 divided by 3. 28, yes. And then I'm going to take the square root of both sides. W is going to be the square root of 28, which is 5.2915026. Look at the third number. It's less than 5, so you leave the 9 the same. So it's going to be 5.29 and negative 5.29. I'm going to do the same thing here. I have 3v squared equals 81. Divide by 3. Get v squared equals 27. Take the square root of 27. And I'm going to get almost the same as before because the square root of 28 was a little bit more than the square root of 27. Again, the number was 5.196152, so this is bigger than 5, so I've raised this up. 19 turns to 20, and that's going to be my answer. Okay, same thing with number 4. This is the exact same problem we had before almost, because it's going to equal 45. Take the square root, and that's the same as the problem on the other page, which is 6.71 and negative 6.71. The last problem on this page looks like this. Subtract 49 from both sides. Get 6, 5. 7x squared equals 56. Divide by 7. X squared is going to equal 8. Take the square root. X is going to be the square root of 8, which is 2.83, and negative 2.83. I had 2.8284, blah, 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 blah. Since this number is bigger than 5, I raise the 2 to a 3. And that is it. So that is solving using the square root property. And the problem with this is probably rounding, so please do your best to remember to look at the third number. If the third number is bigger than 5, then you raise the second number up. 5 or more, you raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. Okay, thank you. Have a good day.